Hi, thank you for joining us. We have Mr. Washburn here as he's going to talk about from officer to the classroom, and I'm excited to hear everything that he is going to say. So thank you for joining us. I know there'll be others coming in, but for time's sake, let's get started. One of the questions that was asked is, can you elaborate more on the Lapson certification program? And Tom, I know you said there's two of them. But how do you integrate that into your class?
All right, so what we're hoping to have achieved over the next 2 to 3 years is for your students to have various certifications. The first one we're working on, one we've already kind of wrapped up is the dispatcher certification, so I'm not sure that's the one you're discussing, but that's going to be probably mostly done in class because it's going to take an instructor to take the lead on that. The great thing about the NECI is it's national. It's a great certification. Now, the other certification we're looking at, and this may have been the one you were discussing, was the law enforcement certification. And that's going to be that we'll be rolling that out this fall in a pilot. We're going to be looking for folks to test run our knowledge part of that. And so what it is, precision exams, use science, and Lapson has been working together to create an instrument to assess student knowledge. It can be used as an end of pathway test and then a course test for a second year class. But it's going to be a student who attains a certain cut score will be actually nationally credentialed. We have been working hand in hand with National Sheriff's Association. We've also been reached out to the International Associations of Chiefs of Police. And so our goal is for that certification to actually carry that weight, that they'll have those two endorsements on the certification itself, which will make it truly unique. Now, the neat thing about that, so that would actually just be the test the student takes. There's a way for them to make the endorsement, we're calling it a bronze, silver, or gold, by adding on a physical fitness portion, which we'll be releasing pretty soon. They meet the criteria. They can also do either Skills USA, Skills Connect, or Microburst has a certification we're looking at that'll demonstrate communication soft skills. And then there's a third that's going to be rubrics where they demonstrate their mastery of certain things. It can be CPR, it can be vehicle pullover, obviously static, they don't drop the car, handcuff and arrest, things like that. And so a student can get a basic national law enforcement certification with knowledge simply by taking the test, but they can also add on the fitness, the skill sets, and the communication pieces. And that's all industry driven. That's what we got back from our Sheriff's Association, what they're looking to hire, and what we're hoping to bridge. And that's what, coming from the background of the teacher, something Joe, who was our former executive director, has been noticing is I have a very different angle because I know what in the classroom we're needing because I was in it for 30 years. And what I needed was something for my graduates to be able to walk out and get a job with. And that's what we're working on. We're working on a number of those. If you need more information, it's info@lapsonnetwork.org or go to lapson.org and you can, lapsonnetwork.org, and you can email me. If you have more questions on that, I'll be glad to answer those.
Thanks, Tom. Another question, I think this is a great one. What emerging themes have you seen within the industry in the last few years? And this is specifically talking about work readiness skills.
That's a great question. We had a fantastic advisory committee. If you don't have a really great advisory committee, I really encourage you to put one together. And so the one that I put together was for our county, which is Fulton County. It wraps around Atlanta. And one of my police chiefs came in and said, I just need people that know how to do customer service. And I thought that was an interesting point from a police chief. He said, look, I can teach them how to make an arrest. I can teach them how to write a warrant, but they need to know how to answer a phone. They need to know how to solve problems. They need to know how to be polite. And I thought that was very interesting. And so and then for about 10 minutes, the whole panel, including the number 2 person of the DA's office for Fulton County and the Atlanta area of the FBI, head of the FBI, they all agreed how that we need to have our students coming out at 18 knowing how to communicate, shaking hands, eye contact. And you and I see it every day in our classrooms. Kind of I'm not critiquing the kids today. It's just there's not as much formality. But then when you get into the workplace, there is that expectation of formality. And so we actually do in my class. We have on Tuesdays, we call it Professional Tuesdays. And the kids get extra points if they dress up. Actually, this is a program polo. Even though I'm retired, I still wear it. And they wear the program polo in khakis, or they can wear a tie or similar, the girls can. And then when we walk in class, we practice things, shaking hands, looking each other in the eye, asking people how they're doing. We simulate phone calls. I think every Tuesday they have a problem to solve at their desk that they think about themselves and share with each other. And it could be just something as simple as a caller called upset they got a speeding ticket. How do you respond? They were definitely speeding. But it's something we have to handle today, people, and 1 week was how to handle a social media thing. So what we're hearing from industry in the soft skill area is basic communication skills. Another thing we keep getting is a lot about just being able to ask good questions. Kids today they don't speak as much. When I was a kid, oh my Lord, I'm 52. We were on the phone all the time. I remember it was a privilege when you got to answer your home phone. I don't know if that's something that y'all are as old as I am, but I remember I was like 9 and I could finally go, Washburn's residence, I had to knock my sister over to try to answer the phone. Kids today don't talk on the phone at all. And so the more we can get them in that conversational style, I think those are some soft skills out of industry that we're definitely seeing, which is why Skills Connect with Skills USA is fantastic. The microburst is really good. There's a lot of products out there like that, but I definitely encourage you to look into specifically communications, interaction communication, customer service, all of those. If you think about it, whether you're an attorney or you're a paramedic, you've got to be able to communicate and solve problems.
So it sounds like your dog in the background, he has no issue with his communication skills. Yeah.
I apologize, y'all. I have a dog named Charlemagne, and he likes to be heard when I'm on the phone. I apologize.
Yeah, and those communication skills I think you're talking about are key in a lot of different subjects. And so I know we have our career exploration that we add on to a lot of teacher subjects because they can use for one of the Southwest Airlines professional communication certification. And that teaches those skills to those students of how to interact in the workplace. Do you have have you used that before, Tom? And if you have, do you want to speak on that?
Well, your ICV products that we use in my county, we put all of our students into the ICV platform right at the beginning of the school year. We can use it. Me as a veteran, having 30 years in, I used it about 10 to 15% of my instruction. But when I had new instructors like this, you have a guy that took my place. Can you imagine how exciting that is? And he's going to be using it probably about 70% of the time because it just gives you that, put your legs under your feet while you're getting going. But then it's also a great supplement. Nobody wants to hear me talk every day. And we have days where I have a substitute or days where, we have a snow day. It's a great day. I mean, I use ICV was my go-to backup plan, but it's a really good integrated hand-in-hand. And I was looking at the new products y'all have in the soft skill category, very impressed. And those would be fantastic because as I just mentioned, you can't, let's say that, in our program, we've noticed statistically about 50% of the kids in our program end up in the career area, either as social workers, probation, parole, police officers, correction, attorneys. But all of them are going to need to communicate, and all of them are going to need to answer phones and communicate with customers and solve problems. And so those modules are fantastic. So you said that's with the airline. You have an airline certification with that. I need to look into that. Definitely look more into that.
So we had another question. What advice would you give to students seeking a career in LPSC?
So advice to students specifically is I always try to tell them to be ready for change. Our careers change a lot. When I started law enforcement and, the last waning days of the Bush 1 administration, we had a baton and that was it, and a firearm, it was it. And there was a lot of change, bringing in computers and OC gas, obviously tasers, things like that. But then today, there's going to be a heavier demand on our people being able to communicate stronger, being a lot more involved in the community. And so when I talk to kids going to LPSCS, I just tell them to keep a very open mind. I tell them to be ready for training and change. A big thing in our area is they have to be bilingual. I can't emphasize enough. My students need to know Spanish. They need to know English and really a third language. Language is just so valuable today, depending upon the part of the country you're in. As much as, there may be people who argue the point, we do live in a bilingual country, and it's critical they're able to communicate because whether it's paramedic or lawyer, or police officer, correctional officer, you're going to have to communicate with those languages. So I just tell the students to be ready for change. I tell them, a 2-year degree, 4-year degree is okay, but really it's now technical skills. Even in policing, we're using computers and extracting data out of computer programs. And I just tell them to stay on their toe, light on their toes, take all the training they can get, master a language, and keep themselves proficient in technology because it's constantly changing.
Well, thank you, Tom. That is all the time that we have. If you got in towards the end of this, please remember we will be uploading all of this recorded Q&A sessions. You're able to watch those back. If you are here to get the code, Dusty has just put that in the chat, but your CTE challenge code is public safe, so PUBLICSAFE 051. Thank you again, Tom, for joining us and having your great input. So thank you all.